All right, Leafs Nation, gather round. Imagine if I told you there's a player who's emerged from the shadows, defying the odds and making a name for himself right when the team needed it most. This recent contract extension has the potential to be a game changer, and it's got everyone talking. Who's stepping up to become a key player in our playoff hopes? You'll want to hear all about this exciting development that could shift the tide for our beloved Leafs. Make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up to keep up with all the latest buzz. Bobby McMann's recent performance for the Toronto Maple Leafs has sparked quite the conversation among fans and analysts alike. Signing a 2-year contract worth $135 million AAV was already looking like a savvy move at the onset of the season, but now it's beginning to feel like one of those rare deals that could be labeled as a steal in the grand scheme of the NHL. Can we talk about how his game has evolved? Seriously, he's really come into his own. With 17 goals and 8 assists in just 46 games this season, he's producing at a rate of 0.54 points per game. If he keeps this pace, he's on track to finish with around 27 goals. That's impressive, especially when you consider he'd be ranking 5th in scoring on our team, right behind the big guns like Auston Matthews and John Tavares. What really stands out is how he's been able to perform consistently, even without the luxury of power play. Time. Of his 17 goals this season, only 3 came during power plays. To put that in perspective, he's outscoring notable players like Timo Meier and Carter Verhaeghe, who are both earning significantly more. And let's not overlook that he's been a critical piece for the team, often stepping up during injuries and shifting lines seamlessly. This adaptability is what makes McMann not just a valuable player, but a glue guy for the Leafs. Now, I know some fans might be skeptical. You might be thinking, is this sustainable? Is he just riding a hot streak? Well, let's break that down. Yes, his shooting percentage is a bit high at 14.5%, but he's not just getting lucky. He's shooting 2.5 times per game, and that's a solid number. His ability to create scoring chances and capitalize on them speaks volumes about his skill set. The fact that he's sitting at 17th in the league for goals per 60 minutes is no small feat. He's ahead of superstars like Nikita Kucherov and Artemi Panarin. That's the kind of production you want from a player who's on an affordable contract. So, what does this mean for the Leafs moving forward? Well, if they can ride this wave of McMann's success, it gives them more flexibility in managing their salary cap. This is especially crucial as they navigate contract extensions. For key players like Mitch Marner, we all know Marner is going to command a hefty sum, but the more efficient contracts they have, like McMann's, the better positioned they are to retain their core players. Now, let's not forget about the emotional aspect of all this. As a passionate Leafs fan, it's hard not to get excited about a player who has truly fought for his spot. McMann's journey from being undrafted to becoming a critical contributor in the NHL is a story that resonates deeply with all of us. It's those kinds of narratives that make being a fan worthwhile. You see the hard work pay off, and it instills belief in the process. But I've got to ask, do you think this was the best decision? Honestly, I'm torn because while I love what McMann brings to the table, I also know that the pressure is on him to maintain this level of play. There's been a lot of chatter lately about Max Domi's performance with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I have to say, as a die-hard fan, it's hard not to feel conflicted about what we should do with him. Peter Baracchini's analysis brings some valid points to the table regarding Domi's struggles. His lack of consistency, the dismal offensive production, just 3 goals in 44 games, is really alarming for a player who's supposed to be a playmaker. And those long stretches without scoring? Ouch. A 22-game drought followed by another 19-game stretch without a goal is simply unacceptable for someone with his talent. But here's where it gets interesting. As we look ahead, the NHL salary cap is set to increase significantly, projected to rise from $88 million to $113.5 million by the 2027-28 season. That change has some pretty profound implications for Domi's contract. Right now, at an average annual value of $3.75 million, he's taking up about 4.26% of the current cap. With the cap increase, that percentage drops to roughly 3.3%. What does that mean? It means his contract becomes more manageable, more valuable, even if his production doesn't improve. Think about it. As the cap rises, teams will crave contracts that offer decent production without eating up too much cap space. If Domi can turn it around and get back to his previous form, he could be seen as a steal. But even if he doesn't, he remains an attractive depth option for any team looking for affordable contributions. The Maple Leafs, with the cap flexibility that comes from this increase, don't necessarily need to rush to move him just for relief. Now I get it. The immediate instinct might be to trade him. After all, how long can we wait for a player who isn't producing? But we also have to consider the long-term picture. Could Domi's value in a higher cap environment actually increase? If a playoff contender sees potential in him as a physical depth forward, they might be willing to pay up for his contract down the line, especially if he's not a salary cap burden. And let's not forget that his performance still matters. The Caulfield Leafs need consistency and secondary scoring, and that's where Domi's production comes into play. If the team feels he can bounce back and provide that scoring, then trading him might not be the best option. On the flip side, if they believe moving him could bring in a more reliable offensive player, then the decision becomes a lot more difficult. So, here we are, at a crossroads. The Maple Leafs have to weigh whether they believe in Domi's potential to turn things around against the possibility of acquiring a more dependable asset. It's not just about the here and now. It's about how this decision shapes the future of the team and the fans' dreams. I'm genuinely torn on this. Domi has the skill set that can bring value, but will he deliver? And you, what do you think? Should the Leafs look to trade Domi, or hold on to him and hope for a resurgence? I want to hear your opinions down below. Let's keep this conversation going. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all things Toronto Maple Leafs. And make sure to activate that notification bell to get all the latest updates.